Welcome to the new home of the Futuro House number 22 that I shipped from Port Alfred in South Africa, and is now beginning its process of restoration in a barn in Herefordshire in the UK. We've moved all the pieces now to here out of storage, and I'm beginning the process of restoration now. There it is. Let's go inside. So, here we go. It's all moved. A lovely man called Dave moved it all, slightly unbeknown to me, but then that's the way that Dave works. Another not overly glamorous location for a wonderful building, but you know, these things are sent to test us at this point in time, and it's the perfect kind of space to set up a workshop for restoring the Futuro. This early stage is mostly taking place with pretty complex tools. A barbecue cleaner bought for $3.99 down the road at the local garage, which is proving to be pretty effective at scouring off the accumulated lichen and dirt. That and a heat gun to take off the tar. Yeah, pretty simple stuff at this stage, just a lot of legwork to get through. So it's day 2 of just cleaning up the Futuro in its new home. And it's been quite enlightening just to spend a little bit of quality time alone in the company of these giant segments. I guess what I'm struck with is the kind of the timelessness of the design. I mean, the Futuro is often kind of associated with a particular kind of era, a particular kind of feeling, a particular spirit. And what I'm kind of personally finding is I'm sort of reminded why subconsciously perhaps I was drawn to it in the first place, in so much as I'm reminded that if you take away the associations with kind of a retro feel, dare I say even a kind of a kitsch aesthetic, that actually you're left with an incredibly pure, mathematically induced space, and it's actually an incredibly minimal piece of work, be it building, artwork, whatever you want to call it. It sort of ticks all of those boxes. Right, I better get back to sanding. There's quite a lot more to do. Looking back at yesterday's handiwork and realising that using the heat gun to remove the tar from the edges, what's happened is that quite a lot of residual tar has actually been forced into the cracking of the gel coat, which is not ideal really. I'd rather have the tar come off as quickly as, or as much of it as possible, and I'm going to have to use some kind of petrochemical solution to remove that, which is not really what you want to be applying to the fiberglass. So instead what we're doing is chipping it off by hand, using a scraper and no heat, and actually a lot more of it's coming off as a result. It's a lot neater, so staying clear of the heat gun for now. 6 down, time for lunch. Going to come back and clean up the other 2, and then get stuck into the detail of really getting them properly clean so we can start sanding them. Day 4 of basically cleaning, taking everything off the Futuro that's not fiberglass. So the Velux windows that were in each of the segments have come out this morning. Most of them were kind of either chipped or broken anyway, the perspex, so they weren't the easiest things to get out intact, which is not disastrous, as the perspex would need replacing anyway because it's clouded, and also as I don't think this is going to be installed in a country with the climate of South Africa, more likely Wales or England. I think going for double glazing, creating additional domed or windows as per the other, every other window, and the more kind of traditional Futuro window, if you like. So replacing the Veluxes with those. We've been working on putting some better workshop lighting in here. At the moment I'm just working with natural light, so come about 4 p.m. in the afternoon, makes it rather hard to achieve anything with just one flashlight and natural light. And that marks the end of day 4 of the first week of restoring the Futuro. It's a little bit dark to be working, 4:30, so best go off and do something else more constructive instead, and come back to this soon. It's been a week of sanding the upper sections back to try and get rid of the spoilt, the cracked gel coat of the fiberglass. So many hours, many days just standing with an orbital sander. Still needs more sanding, but this is just to sort of really see what the extent of the situation. This panel is particularly bad. They're not all that bad, but they are very big. Also this week we've done some exploratory digging into one of the lower sections, because all of the wood in these lower sections is made of basically a kind of a glorified cardboard that over 40 years has understandably perished, either with wet or with woodworm. So it's all got to come out really. Some is worse than the others, but effectively we're having to try and figure out how to remove the wood, the structural wood that lines the edges without damaging or without opening up the fiberglass shell too much. And it's double laminated, which is making it somewhat trickier. Another task has been washing down the insides. I'm not sure anyone had shown any soda crystals to the interior for a good few years. So there's some pretty brown liquid that came off them. So they're looking a bit brighter now. Here's a panel in progress, before and after. Here you can see the sort of the base layer of lichen and gunk that's built up over the years, and when you start to zoom in on a bit that's partially sanded, you start to see cracking in the gel coat that's partially sanded through. Around this area you can see almost the whole gel coat has been removed in sections. That's effectively how we have to take it back to. So it's one smooth, consistent colour. The joists are actually at a variable height to the floor. If you see the height here, and if you see by the time it gets down to here, there's a good centimetres difference. Interestingly, the panels that are the most damaged, such as this one which I'm working on now, I'd previously thought that they degraded because of the way they were facing in terms of their orientation towards the north, so therefore getting the full brunt of the South African sun. But also what we're starting to realise is that perhaps some of these were made on a Friday and some of them were made on a Wednesday. If you look here, you can see two distinct different types of layers. So they're such massive pieces of fiberglass that no one person can lay up this amount of fiberglass in a small amount of time. So it might have been done in sections and mixed in different batches. and therefore different batches might have been mixed more effectively than others, which would explain why that one is bad, that one's bad, that one is alright, that one's alright. Trying to document as you go along is quite hard when you have been holding an orbital sander for hours on end. The constant vibrations cause one to shake oneself as soon as you put the sander down.